Mohegan Casino Resort. The Stars, Cars, and Handlebars Car Show with music by Count 77, October 1st. Tracy Byrne, November 12th. And Marie Osmond, December 16th. Tickets available at NorthstarCasinoResort.com or call 1-800-775-CASH. Come to where the stars align at North Star Mohegan Casino Resort.
Save on your home's energy costs with help from Menards. Seal up gaps and cracks with Loctite Tight Foam. This sealant insulates effectively and will expand to fill gaps up to 1 inch. Right now, all Loctite sealants are 11% off. Now is a great time to insulate ahead of the cold weather with Knauf fiberglass insulation. Soundproofing insulation offers year-round comfort and helps lower energy costs. Get 11% off all Knauf insulation now at Menards.
Save big money at Menards.
A group in Elko is currently working to build a bike and pedestrian walking trail east of Highway 45. We'll hear about the plans to get that done. Plus, a Senate candidate unveiled his plan for boosting Social Security. We'll hear about how he wants to pay for it. And there might be some steins clinking this weekend in St. Germain. We'll have the details as your local news starts right now.
Your local news and weather from where you live. Newswatch 12 at 5 starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Newswatch 12 at 5. I'm Dan Hagan. A group in Elko is currently working to build a bike and pedestrian walking trail east of Highway 45. Elko Area Health Planning Organization leaders say this will be a safer alternative for those who currently walk on the area highways. Newswatch 12's Kyle Pozorski explains.
What we're trying to do is to provide a safe passage.
The Elko Area Health Planning Group is working towards the completion of an alternative for pedestrians on Highway 45.
Right now, if people walk on Enterprise Lake Road or on County K, it's not safe. Walking along Highway 45, even though there's a bike lane, it's not safe at all.
And this isn't the first time health planning has attempted to come up with ways to make Elko safer. Their accomplishments include bringing back streetlights and building a medical center in the late 70s. Wetzel says the time for a safe trail is now.
We first heard about the bicycling trails up in Vilas and Oneida County, which at the time everybody thought that was crazy. Now there's bicycling trails in Rhinelander and Anico and other areas.
Recently, a Transportation Alternative Program grant was awarded to the group by the Wisconsin DOT. Health Planning is looking to fund the rest of Section 1 with donations amounting to more than $175,000.
That's an 80% reimbursement grant. And then Elko Area Health Planning is going to pay for the balance of that grant plus any other costs that are involved.
The hope is that someday the Elko Trail will be connected with other Northwoods communities.
And a person can bicycle or hike safe off of roads going long distances if they wish to, just like is done in snowmobiling.
The first section of construction for the trail will take place in 2025. Reporting in Elko, Kyle Pozorski, Newswatch 12.
The Western Upper Peninsula snowmobiling community is reeling after a major resort has decided to stop allowing snowmobilers to pass through. The Snow River Mountain Resort, formerly known as Big Snow, has permanently pulled trail permits on their property. Upper Michigan's snowmobile trails will no longer connect to places like Ironwood and Bessemer, and they won't be able to access the rest of the state if you're coming from those communities. The only way around is a long detour through Vilas County here in Wisconsin. The Gogebic Range Trail Authority said in a statement that any solution outside of Big Snow Resort would be a multi-million-dollar project, so the organization is working with Big Snow ownership to try and avert a trail shutdown. Now to our weather center where meteorologist Conrad Supinski joined us. Conrad, it feels like fall, definitely today.
Definitely does, Dan. Yesterday was the last official day of summer. It was a pleasant one outside. Today, much different story. First official day of fall, and look at this. Freeze warnings in the area for most of the Northwoods, especially Rhinelander, where temperatures will be in the upper 20s to lower 30s, and then some frost advisories that are in effect till around 8 a.m. on Friday. Those locations will have temperatures in the low to mid 30s, so everybody will be in on those cooler temperatures. Right now, 50s and 60s. Our average closer to 67 degrees, so we are all well below that. And we'll continue to have some well below average temperatures, not only through this weekend, but into next week. Middle of next week, same thing into the end of next week. But Look at Thursday, 63 degrees. Yes, temperatures will start to rise by the end of next week. Mostly sunny skies right now. That is the ingredient we need for tonight as we continue to have mostly clear skies and temperatures cooling off into the upper 20s to lower 30s. Dan?
The Portage County Sheriff's Office is investigating a dead body that was found in the middle of a cornfield. Around 3 p.m. yesterday, the Portage County Communications Center received a call from a farm worker about the dead body. The Portage County Medical Examiner was notified and responded to the scene. The examiner concluded the individual had been at this location for some time due to decomposition. The Sheriff's Office is working with the Medical Examiner's Office and the Wisconsin Crime Lab to positively identify the deceased person. The death at this time is being investigated as suspicious. At this time, it appears to be an isolated incident and the public is not at risk. A sex trafficker from Rhinelander will be in prison for the next 25 years. Paul Osterman was charged last May with 3 charges related to sex trafficking. Osterman had been messaging a woman and had discussed trading a child to Osterman in exchange for money and drugs. That woman was sentenced earlier this year in connection to the case. Osterman will have to register as a sex offender following his release. The House of Representatives passed the Presidential Reform Act, attempting to prevent another attempt to subvert democracy like what happened on January 6th of 2021. The bill was co-authored by Wyoming Republican Representative Liz Cheney. The legislation would change the 1887 Electoral Count Act to remove any doubt that the vice president's role in counting electoral votes is purely administrative. The bill would also raise the threshold to force a vote on discounting presidential electors from just one legislator to 1/3 of both the House and Senate. All Democrats and 9 Republicans supported the bill in the House, and recent reporting suggests the bill will pass the Senate. On January 6th of 2021, President Donald Trump and many other Republicans attempted to overturn a free and fair election. A bill aimed at targeting dark money in political campaigns was blocked by Senate Republicans today. The procedural vote ended 49-49. All Democrats present, including Tammy Baldwin of Wisconsin, voted to advance the bill, and all Republicans present, including Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, voted against. The Disclose Act would require greater transparency into who is behind much of the secretive, often negative campaign advertising. Most independent groups that pay for political advertising are currently not required to disclose the names of donors. The act would have required them to release the names of those who gave donations of $10,000 or more. Democratic Senate candidate Mandela Barnes released his plan to protect Social Security and Medicare this morning. Barnes vowed to fight any legislation that would privatize Social Security or raise the retirement age. He also would vote to make sure the very wealthy pay their fair share to make sure Social Security is financially secure. Barnes supporter John Drew from Milwaukee relies on Medicare and says some of the things Senator Ron Johnson has advocated for worry him.
I trust Mandela to protect Social Security and Medicare, and I think the choice is very clear.
Senator Johnson voted to raise the eligibility for Social Security from 65 to 70 in 2013. He also supports moving Social Security and Medicare from mandatory spending programs to discretionary ones, meaning Congress would have to decide on funding for them each year. Mandela Barnes and his family come from a middle-class background, while Ron Johnson is a millionaire through his wife's family's business. And Drew says this makes Barnes more in touch with the needs of most Wisconsin seniors.
Mandela's mom and dad are just like me. They depend on Social Security and Medicare. And I think Mandela, because of his lived experience, he gets it, unlike Ron Johnson.
Barnes also announced ways to enhance Medicare. It includes strengthening Medicare's ability to negotiate drug prices and lowering the Medicare eligibility to 50 years old. Wisconsin State Treasurer Sarah Godlewski endorsed Democratic congressional nominee Brad Pfaff. The press conference was highlighted by discussion surrounding abortion, with Pfaff also being endorsed by the Planned Parenthood Action Fund. Pfaff will be facing Republican Derek Van Orden in the fall election for Wisconsin's 3rd congressional district. A brewery in St. Germain is embracing a traditional German celebration. The St. Germain Brewing Company, right off Highway 70, is celebrating Oktoberfest all this week as well as next week.
So our Oktoberfest this year, we decided to get the event going. and we're doing the traditional time frame of September 17th through October 3rd, so we've already started the Oktoberfest.
Company will also offer many Oktoberfest-related drinks and beverages. Their goal is to stay as authentic to the season as possible.
This year we're featuring 2 of our craft beers that are related to Oktoberfest, which would be our Märzen, which is a March beer, and our Helles, which is the traditional beer that you would find at Oktoberfest in Munich if you went there.
The owner says they hope to expand the event in the future and offer more activities. Tens of thousands of people will line the streets of Eagle River this weekend. Coming up, we'll preview the famous Cranberry Fest. That's after weather with Conrad right here on Newswatch 12.
This portion of Newswatch 12 is brought to you by Slumberland.
Prices are going up on groceries, they're going up at the gas station. The only ones profiting are oil companies, big corporations, China, and Ron Johnson. Johnson makes money from investments in factories in China. No wonder Johnson's net worth has doubled since he's been in Washington. Even worse, Johnson's allowed oil and drug companies to jack up prices on us. He takes all that money from them. Ron Johnson profits, we pay the price. SMP is responsible for the content of this ad.
You protected our rights, preserved our freedom. You may have even risked your life for us. Now, it's our turn to fight for you. Your local Wisconsin emergency, energy, and housing assistance providers, and the Keep Wisconsin Warm Cool Fund reward the service of our veterans with rental and energy support in their time of crisis. Apply today to get the fresh start you've earned.
Violent crime up across Wisconsin. Families nervous about their safety. Yet Mandela Barnes called for releasing half of Wisconsin's jailed inmates. That would mean releasing over 10,000 criminals right into our neighborhoods. 10,000 reasons your family would be in more danger. Barnes also supported defunding the police. 10,000 more criminals with fewer police to protect us. What could go wrong? Wisconsin Truth Bank is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Ron Johnson's at it again, lying about my taxes. Let's be clear, my taxes are paid in full, but there were times I was getting by on peanut butter sandwiches. And that's why I support a tax cut for the middle class. Put more money in your pockets, because I know how hard you work. But Johnson uses Tennessee to write a loophole that gave huge tax cuts to himself and his biggest donors, leaving us with crumbs. And that's how we get left behind. I'm Mandela Barnes, and I approve this message.
Hey, here's a fun fact. 3 out of 4 members of Congress were already professional politicians before they even got to D.C. And then they cash in and become lobbyists. It ain't me. I'm Derek Van Orden, retired Navy SEAL with 26 years of service. And I will pass term limits and ban congressmen from ever becoming lobbyists. I'm Derek Van Orden, and I approve this message. Let's try something different. Let's change the people we send to D.C.
Congratulations, it's Thursday, our first official day of fall. We've made it. Temperatures have cooled down. Mother Nature's bringing in that cooler air. Yes, temperatures only in the mid-50s right now. Our average should be in the mid to upper 60s. We're well below that right now. At least we have lots of sunshine outside. Same thing by Wausau. Temperatures around 62 degrees there, so a little bit warmer closer to Wausau, but sunshine all across the state. Temperatures, though, are really cooling down. Even in the middle part of the country, we could see the cold front sitting right over here, where we have 80s and 90s just to the south, and then 50s, 60s, and 70s just to the north of that cold front. So cold front really passed by us a couple of days ago. Now temperatures are in the 50s and 60s, 56 in Rhinelander, 55 in Eagle River, a bit cooler in Land O'Lakes, coming in at 54 degrees. Bit warmer by Green Bay, coming in at 63 right now. So below average all across the state. We are supposed to have temperatures around 67 degrees with an average low of around 43 degrees. So today we're nowhere near that, and same thing into the overnight hours. I know today's the first day of fall, and check out this graphic. Our first freeze warnings in effect of the season that are in effect until tomorrow, 8 a.m., indicated here in the purple. And then in frost advisories indicated in the blue until 8 a.m. on Friday. So any locations in the freeze warning will have temperatures in the upper 20s even to those lower 30s. And then frost advisory areas will have temperatures in the low to mid 30s. So it's that time of year. It's starting to cool down, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel, folks. Warmer weather will be back. So really the last couple days of September into the first week of October, it looks like temperatures will take that climb up. We'll start to warm up just a little bit. Still some fall weather in the 60s and 70s, but slightly above our average, so that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Mostly sunny skies right now across the state, just a few passing clouds. In the eastern part of the state, most of this will continue to move out, so everyone will have some mostly clear skies all across the state throughout the overnight hours. Most of the upper Midwest is in the clear as well. No precipitation right now. We do have some rain in the west. Most of that will continue to stick around there. And our futurecast does show more showers rolling in by Friday night into the Saturday morning time frame, as our 7-day outlook brought to you by Northwoods Furniture and Mattress does show rain by the weekend. Then next week, temperatures will stick around in the 50s and 60s. Dan?
Eagle River's Cranberry Fest regularly brings in tens of thousands of people. It's just over a week away, and the Eagle River Chamber is still in need of some volunteers for the event. Michelle Williams is the event's coordinator. She says the festival relies on community involvement. Volunteers help out with duties ranging from parking to helping out with venues.
We are still looking for volunteers to help with a lot of the different areas with the Cranberry Fest. Things from bakery to the souvenir sales. We're just looking for anybody who's interested to help or would like to be a part of this year's Cranberry Fest.
This will be the 42nd annual Cranberry Fest, and Williams also says that volunteers are vital to keeping events like this and many others running.
They are one of the main reasons that we can actually have this event and carry it out. They help us with pretty much every aspect of the event. So it's a really big community event, and without them, we wouldn't be able to have Cranberry Fest.
The Eagle River Chamber of Commerce will be accepting volunteers up until right before Cranberry Fest. If you would like to help out, you can either call the chamber or send an email to events@eagleriver.org. And again, it is happening next weekend, not this weekend. The Rhinelander Community Foundation is inviting everyone for a celebration of the new Hodag Park Amphitheater. It starts at 5 p.m. next Wednesday with live music beginning at 5:30. Bring a blanket or a chair. Food trucks for CT's Deli and Casa Mexicana will be there, plus ice cream from A La Mode. And beverages will be there from Rhinelander's Brewing Company. If it's raining, the celebration will be postponed to October 2nd. The amphitheater is a result of a financial partnership between the Rhinelander Community Foundation and city government. The war in Ukraine has reached a turning point. Protests are breaking out in Russia in response to Putin's draft of more soldiers. Coming up on Newswatch 12, we'll see how this will impact the war.
It's Furniture and Appliance Mart's scratch-off promotion. Save big on appliances this fall. Come in for your scratch card, worth up to $5,000. Plus, buy any LG washer and get the dryer free. Plus, 60-month special financing. Plus, fast delivery. Only at Furniture and Appliance Mart.
At a company, the culture comes from the top. Tim Michaels' company has been sued numerous times over sexual assault and harassment in the workplace. Women who worked for Michaels' company said they were groped, assaulted, and pressured to have sex with their bosses. Higher-ups at Michaels dismissed the women as liars and even fired those who spoke out. Is that what we need for Wisconsin? Tim Michaels, too radical, too divisive.
Water is one of nature's most beautiful and life-sustaining resources. At no fault of their own, many Wisconsin utility customers are facing a shutoff to their water service. This leaves them without the one life-giving resource we all take for granted. And those hardest hit are on fixed incomes, juggling multiple temporary jobs, or those who lost full-time jobs in sectors hardest hit by the pandemic. If someone you care about needs a hand up, your local Wisconsin energy and emergency rental assistance providers are working together to keep you safely in your home and your water, heat, and power on. If you are in danger of losing your water service, call 833-H2O-WISC, 833-426-9472. You may not ask for it, but we're here to help.
There's case after case. Women working for Tim Michaels' construction company saying they were groped, sexually assaulted, and pressured to have sex with their bosses. When they resisted, they say they were threatened, called a liar, and forced to resign. And when co-workers spoke up, they were fired. If this is how Tim Michaels runs his business, how do you think he'd run the state? Tim Michaels' radical agenda is so very, very wrong.
It's Furniture and Appliance Mart's scratch-off promotion. See big on appliances this fall. Come in for your scratch card, worth up to $5,000. Plus, buy any LG washer and get the dryer free. Plus, 60-month special financing. Plus, fast delivery. Only at Furniture and Appliance Mart.
A former Mississippi Department of Human Services director has pleaded guilty to his role in the state's largest welfare fraud scheme. John Davis pleaded guilty to 5 counts of conspiracy and 13 counts of fraud against the government. Davis was accused of taking part in a conspiracy to misuse tens of millions of dollars that were intended to go to the state's neediest families. Part of the money he oversaw was doled out following a request for funds by former NFL quarterback Brett Favre to build a new volleyball facility at a university attended by his daughter. Davis was sentenced to 32 years for the state charges, but will remain under house arrest until he is sentenced. Favre has denied any wrongdoing. It is easy to check your local time, but the government says it may be harder to find a map with the correct times across the U.S. Thursday, the Inspector General for the U.S. Department of Transportation reported the department does not have a map that accurately shows the nation's time zones. The DOT handles keeping up with the clock because time is important to travel, but investigators found several sources of time information on the DOT's own website contained errors. Federal transportation officials want the new map to accurately show the boundaries of local daylight saving times nationwide. Violent protests are breaking out in Russia days after Russian leader Vladimir Putin announced a mobilization to bring more Russian citizens into the ongoing conflict. As Russia's invasion of Ukraine falters, U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken is reasserting support for Ukraine, accusing Russia of atrocities and human rights abuses. Gloria Pezmino has the latest on this ongoing conflict.
Condemnation at a United Nations Security Council meeting Thursday.
The very international order that we have gathered here to uphold is being shredded before our eyes.
U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken slamming Russian President Vladimir Putin following escalatory actions by Moscow this week during a meeting convened to discuss the war in Ukraine.
That President Putin picked this week, as most of the world gathers at the United Nations, to add fuel to the fire that he started, shows his utter contempt for the UN Charter, for the General Assembly, and for this council.
In response to Putin's decision to conscript some 300,000 Russian citizens in the reserve to the military amid his faltering war efforts, some are fleeing the country, waiting in long lines of traffic at Russia's land borders. Others are voicing their opposition. As seen in the social media video, while not independently verified by CNN, it appears to be authentic. According to a monitoring group, more than 1,300 people have been detained across 38 Russian cities this week after participating in anti-war protests, with some detainees already drafted into military service. In New York, I'm Gloria Pasmino reporting.
This portion of Newswatch 12 is brought to you by Furniture and Appliance Mart.
Under Governor Evers, hardworking Wisconsin families are being left behind. We're paying more for food, gas, everything. And Tony Evers tried to make us pay even more, a 20% gas tax increase, doubling the tax on home heating bills. And while Evers puts the squeeze on us, he wanted to give taxpayer-funded benefits to people who refuse to work. He even opposes drug testing welfare recipients. Tony Evers is leaving hard-working Wisconsin families behind.
The light at the end of the tunnel isn't shining so brightly for everyone. Families continue to fight for survival. Some jobs are gone forever. Bills pile up. But please know, you have not been forgotten. Your local Wisconsin energy and emergency rental assistance providers are working together to keep you safely in your home and your heat and power on. Apply now for a hand up.
Prices are going up on groceries. They're going up at the gas station. The only ones profiting are oil companies, big corporations, China, and Ron Johnson. Johnson makes money from investments in factories in China. No wonder Johnson's net worth has doubled since he's been in Washington. Even worse, Johnson's allowed oil and drug companies to jack up prices on us. He takes all that money from them. Ron Johnson profits, we pay the price. SMP is responsible for the content of this ad.
Menards is a one-stop shop for everything you need. Plus, get 11% off. When it comes to cleaning, Zep has you covered. From kitchens to bathrooms, Zep Cleaning Solutions tackle the toughest messes. Get 11% off all Zep cleaning supplies. Stock up on your favorite Procter & Gamble products. They deliver quality products from brands that you can trust, like Dawn, Tide, and Bounty. Get 11% off all Procter & Gamble products now at Menards.
Save big money at Menards.
I received a call that my granddaughter had been hit. She suffered a serious brain injury and nearly died. The driver should have been in jail. Mandela Barnes supports no cash bail that puts criminals like Darrell Brooks back on the streets. He's more worried about criminals than victims. Mandela Barnes doesn't have the judgment to keep our community safe.
Senate Leadership Fund is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Conrad, I had a great morning because I feel like fall is here, and I was wearing shorts and a sweatshirt, and I love that combination. I love this weather. I love fall. Is this going to continue for us?
Same, Dan. Yes, it will actually. Get ready for tonight. If you had a pleasant start yesterday, Dan, get ready for tomorrow.
All right.
It's going to be a lot cooler start. Temperatures right now in the 50s and 60s, so we are well below our average for this time of year. Our average is supposed to be closer to 67. We're at 56 right now, so it is a little bit cooler. Tonight, though, well, we have some freeze warnings in effect indicated in the purple. The blue is indications of some frost advisories. Temperatures will be in the low to mid 30s. The freeze warning areas will have temperatures in the upper 20s to low 30s. So fall has officially arrived. Temperatures will be below average in the 50s and 60s into next week.
Is that a prank? Is this April 1st? There's freeze warnings
I wish it was, Dan. I know.
Oh, geez, Louise.